Okay, here we are, as it were, returning to the, air quotes, scene of the crime. In late January, early February, we gave this Graham Stewart Thomas rose, a David Austin rose, a pretty good pruning, pretty hard cut back. It is a vigorous shrub, often getting 6 feet tall, 5-6 feet wide, and it has a rich yellow flower with a moderate amount of scent. Produces many flowers, and it has quite a number, 2, 3, 4 rounds of bloom from spring to fall. David Austin, his Graham Stewart Thomas rose. So we came in and pruned it. We cut it back maybe about half the length of each cane. If you look here, you see where we made a heading cut, and we have good 8-10 inches of growth response in the month and a half or so since pruning. Let me just say, when you prune your roses in the winter, be ready to go. Pruning stimulates new growth, so you have to get in with ground story stuff, fertilization, compost, fertilizer, and mulch to support that growth. Although another way sometimes people go, I am a person, I go this way sometimes too, and that is to say, prune, mulch, hang on, see what the resultant growth is. If you need a little more of a boost, come about, say, March into April, you can then apply fertilizer, which will push vegetative growth, culminate in bloom in April and May, and all for the better. Either way. You also can see in here that we have used some spreaders, the old-fashioned wooden ones, just a piece of lath with a V-notch cut in the end of it, and these pointy ones that can actually, metal ones, jab into the foliage. The idea is to get a nice spreading open form here, allowing good sunlight and air circulation in the core of the shrub here to facilitate photosynthesis and growth, yeah, but also to minimize the propensity for disease with kind of dark, still air like that. So, and let's take a look here at these two. We spread them, and more rather than less, our work is done here with that one. Let's take a look at this one here. And the answer is, yeah, not quite yet. So, pending. Probably in another month or so, these two opposing branches will fix in place and we can remove the paraphernalia here. So, but this is an example of a nice, loose, open form center to a rose shrub. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 8 main canes going up and out into the sunlight, and in another 3-4 weeks, well, first we'll probably get another half dozen inches of growth here, and then this shrub will be topped by 20, 30, 40 blooms. We'll ride that through April into May. We'll come back in after the bloom, do some more fertilization, compost and fertilizer, re-up the mulch, little leaf patrol, clean up any disease issues here. We're off and growing again for another round of bloom 4, 6, 8 weeks after that. Okay, what's that old line from a Neil Young song, reprised more elegantly, I'm going to say, by Linda Ronstadt? Well, yeah, The Beauty and the Beast. Love is a rose, but you better not pick it. Only blooms when it's on the vine. Okay, what have we here? We have the next installation are looking at the exquisite David Austin rose, Graham Stewart Thomas. Nice, rich, buttery yellow. Good lemony citrus scent, as most yellow roses have. And it's a large bush. So earlier we demonstrated pruning on it. We looked at it as it broke from dormancy with some early season foliar growth. And lordy, 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 look at this. We've got buds aplenty. We'll come back in a week or 10 days when this thing is in full bloom. But I've always been amazed at a couple things with roses. How just planted roses in January can reach almost full size and bloom by the first spring, summer. You might be well advised to deadhead, cut off those roses to fully establish the bush. But also, just any given rose in its maturity, prune real hard down to knee high. and the response is pretty phenomenal. This is a couple, 3 months of vegetative growth. We're about to enjoy 3-4 weeks of bloom, and then we'll have to endure 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of just vegetative growth and rebloom. But this rose will bloom shortly, then again in late June, July, and then again in August, September, and who knows, especially if we have a warm fall and not too much rain, perhaps a fourth time in November, December. Graham Stewart Thomas, one of the great roses in the world. I highly recommend it. Okay, let's set the scene here. It's the last week of May 2024. What are they calling it? May Gray. What's the norm? May is one of the most spectacular, beautiful, warm, sunny months in the year in Santa Cruz. Not so much this year. So it's really delayed everything, which is good and bad. One of the results is we're not having a boom moment with our roses. They're like, blooming, 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 blooming a little more like that, which is good and bad. It gives you a nice effect for a longer period of time in the garden. If you wanted to gather up a whole lot of cut flowers, yeah, you got some. So, where are we at with the esteemed Graham Stewart Thomas? We're maybe at 40% peak bloom. There are flowers that are just about to, it's called the cracking stage, show some color. Flowers that are in tight bud but opening, and flowers maybe like this is just about as good as it gets, and some that have gone by the wayside. It's not that they're not lovely, it's just they're past their peak in terms of being a cut flower. So what I like about this shrub is that it is indeed just that, a shrub, robust, topped with scads and scads of flowers, a really strong repeat bloomer, 2-3 times during the course of spring to fall. And I just flat out like the form and the color. It's got about 30-40 petals, and it's got this nice, rich, especially these smaller, more center petals here, yellow gold. The outer petals are a lighter shade of yellow. And as far as scent, well, I ain't got nothing today. Heat activates scent. It's about 57 degrees right now. So, and the reason for that is that scent attracts pollinators. So it's a kind of evolutionary strategy to get pollinated, make seed, drop it on the ground in the wild. No sense in exhausting the calories for scent when there aren't any pollinators around. But at any rate, things about Graham Stewart that I like. Well, truth is, there's not much that I don't like. It's moderately scented, not as scented. One thing about yellow roses, they tend to be really scented and really in the direction of citrus and lemon and such. This is moderately scented, but I like the form, and I like the way it has a half a dozen or so satellite lateral buds here. This will bloom, and then you can cut it off, and then the satellites will bloom. So it gives you a pretty good bang for the buck there. I also like, although a lot of production flower growers go narg, I really like its gentle arching nature with quite a number of buds on the end of each stem. A production flower farmer likes stiff, erect, single blooms. So be it.